Welcome back to Between Sessions. My name is Eboni Harris.
And I'm Eliza Vokeen, and we are two brown chicks changing the face of therapy on both sides of the couch.
Listen, Eliza, goodness, especially while we're virtual, at least when we're in person, I can kind of see it.
Okay, let's do it again.
Just gonna let you know.
Both sides of the couch.
Both sides. Welcome back, guys. Maybe we're getting a little start crazy. I don't know. I hope everybody has been doing well. Obviously, we're still social distancing. We're doing our parts of not being around each other. So we just get on video and
that's hard. That's been so hard because coming into the office and the days that you're not there already, I would be like, come up here. I know you don't have anything to do here.
Just come hang out. I do feel like I was thinking, well, I just thought about this. Like, I feel like the time before kind of started to prepare us for this because we were having like a lot of like, you'll be in session, I'll be on break, and then I'll be in session, you'll be on break. And like, so we really hadn't like, for a while, it would be like we had the same schedule. And so then we just hang out for like 3 hours in between clients. And that's when we work on Melanin and mental health. But lately it has kind of been, we've been a little off. So that was to prepare us for this time.
I guess so.
You're like, whatever.
I'm working through it.
Oh, goodness. Well, we're going to talk about a little bit. It's kind of along the same lines because when I think of being at home and even how we're spending our time, like obviously we still have our own practices. We're still seeing clients, but it's a completely different way of working. And there is a little bit more free time when you're not at the office all day, right? So then if I have a few clients in the morning and I have a break and I have a few clients in the evening, then it's like, how do I spend that time in between clients at home versus at the office?
Yeah.
And it seems that a lot of people are feeling the pressure to like come up with these grand ideas that's going to make them their first million or next million, whoever you are, while we're going through this pandemic. And so we're just going to kind of talk about the pressures of needing to be extremely productive during this time and whether or not that's healthy for you.
Right. The 3 Ps. Pressure to be productive during a pandemic.
That's going to be the title.
That's going to
write that down. That's about to get it written down.
Yeah. You know, I saw, this had been on my mind because I saw a meme couple weeks ago. I was like, what is this? I mean, I get it, you know, like, and we're going to talk about that, being able to see both sides. But it was like, if you don't come out of this with, you know, a new job, a new body, you know, completely enlightened, you're trash, basically.
It's your fault. It wasn't the time. It was your discipline.
Right. You didn't have discipline. And it's like, okay, that's a little harsh considering we are going through a global pandemic, which is causing us to also have collective trauma. And what we know about trauma, and what I think is really interesting about this situation is that a lot of times when we are working with clients, for example, and we're helping them to heal from past traumas, and yet right now, we're going through the trauma right now. You know, it's like we're not even at the point where we can necessarily heal from it. Like we're going through this right now, which means we are in survival mode.
Right.
So if we know anything about how our nervous systems work and how we can become immobilized when we're going through a traumatic event, really kind of shaming people into being productive when you are just trying to figure out, you know, what is the next, not knowing what is the next step. Yeah, we needed to address that. Right.
The biggest is just understanding like what's happening right now. And so to have that pressure and to have that the belief of like, this is something I'm supposed to be doing or I should be doing. And if I'm not, then I've wasted all this time. It's just not the reality for a lot of people. And it's a little bit of that unnecessary pressure that can cause more issues in your mental health and in making sure that you're taking care of yourself. Because I think I've discussed this before, but I had someone kind of say that, this is kind of a way of saying like, sit down, calm down, like
Absolutely.
take a break. And so while yes, you could be doing other things with your time, that doesn't necessarily, if you're not, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with actually taking a break, because there are a lot of people in this world that just work so hard and work so much. And like, that has been their focus for so long, that they may have just needed to have this break happen just in general.
Right. And I think also for us to be able to look is, when I think of a break, when I think of downtime, I think of myself at the beach. I think of myself being able to let go and be in the moment and, relax. And, I'm home, I'm seeing clients, I have the privilege of still having, a job that I'm working. And so, all these privileges, and yet I don't necessarily feel like I'm able to fully relax. Like my nervous system is still on high alert because, like if I have to step out to get the groceries, like, as much as I'm avoiding it, like I'm still like my body is tense while I'm going through it. Just the not knowing. I think at this point, we all know somebody that has been affected by it, by becoming, by testing positive for it. Right. And so, we're having this break in our routine, but I don't know that it's really a break to our nervous systems. So we're just in this high alert state. And it's kind of like what you said. I feel like the reason why, and we're not going to get necessarily political or anything like that, but I think that part of the reason why we're in this situation is because of that hustle mentality, where it's production over well-being, where there's plenty of conversation that can be had about like when we started to really implement some of these stay at home, and are people taking it serious, and some people still not taking it serious, all of that. But again, a lot of it is because putting that pressure on production and doing and hustling over, are people going to be okay? Is there, is this for the greater good?
Right. And I think that's the struggle that a lot of people are having, is even not like, I'm supposed to be doing something. Right. And that's what we often, even before this, right, when we have downtime, a lot of us are people that need to fill that downtime with things to do, whether that's something for business, something for home, or I just can't sit still. And so being at home makes it feel like I should definitely be doing a lot more this time. And it's not that, it just depends. Like, it doesn't have to be one way or the other. And I think that's what we want to kind of hit on, is just like the pressure of actually like, I need to be doing stuff. I need to have all of these things that I wanted to do in my life. This is the time I need to get it done. Just may not be that realistic, depending on your lifestyle, what you have going on. If you're still working, a lot of people are still working full-time jobs, but for whatever reason, they're expecting to be able to do another full-time job of like whatever goal they've decided. And I get that we are spending a lot more time at home, but if you already kind of had a routine, this isn't just like you have this huge break.
Right, exactly. And I think also, again, remembering that getting frozen and becoming immobilized is a trauma response, but so is the going into the like this frenzy of like, I got to do something and I just can't relax and I just can't sit down. Like, that can also be a trauma response. So I think we have to be aware of what's happening, so that we're really not adding to what we're already, like, we're just trying to get through this.
And how do we just accept that, like, that's an important goal as well? Just make it to the other side safely, in a healthy, physically, mentally healthy, and that should be a big part of what your goal is as well.
I feel, I said that, I'm like, if if we get through this, like that's the freaking prize, you know,
Right.
like that's your trophy. Like you
goal
survived.
Is to get through this in a healthy way without gaining 40 pounds.
You know, health intact,
Right.
mind
With
intact,
health intact, you know.
Like I'm still here, you know, at the end of 2020. Like I win the prize. Give me my shirt, you know.
Right,
like that's what it is. Now, if on top of that I'm able to, you know, produce something else, great, fantastic, fine. But I'm not gonna necessarily add additional pressure to myself, nor do we want you to. But again, it really is, this is really more a conversation about like being aware of what's happening and how that's interpreting. Because part of what I thought about yesterday is survival does also spark creativity, right? And so what I was thinking yesterday, because I'm like, I think I mentioned this last episode, is I'm so tired of cooking. Like, I'm so tired of cooking. I'm tired of cooking. I'm tired of cleaning the dishes. But, you know, all right, I'm blessed, right? But I was thinking that yesterday because I'm like, I have ideas. And I started to just like, you know, get some of this, get some of that. I was like, oh, I am cooking now like my mother and my grandmothers used to cook, where it's like, what's in the fridge, whip something up. And then I had that thought, you know, it's like, you know, thinking of like my own lineage and ancestors and family members, that it was about survival. Right? Like it was about survival. And so for so many of us, that's, you know, that's the lineages that we come from. And so, yeah, through that, creativity may be sparked, but I don't think we're necessarily like, well, I got to get through this survival thing and come up with the next best idea. Right? It was just born out of necessity.
Right. And so that's okay to have that creativity and to use it and move it in certain directions, but you don't want to try to force it either.
Yeah, you don't want to put that. Our thing is just like, just don't add additional pressure on yourself when we're trying to survive. I mean, you think of, you know, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Shoot, like self-actualization is way up here.
That's very tight. Yeah, top.
You know, like if your goal for surviving an unprecedented global pandemic is self-actualization, we're just saying, have a little bit of compassion for yourself, give yourself some grace, because it may be difficult to achieve that when you just want to know if you're going to have, you know, a job next week.
Right.
You know, are you going to be able to meet your mortgage a couple months down the line? Will you be able to get your kids back in school? You know, you know, all of these things. We're just saying you don't need to add more on that of you know, that hustle mentality that I think.
And I think a big part of even when I think about, for me, how I kind of, not 100% at all, but transition from that like hustle, productive, I need to always be doing something, to more of a like, okay, like what do I want to do today? How does that work for me? Being more present in the moment, understanding what I enjoy, what maybe I don't enjoy so much. I feel like that has helped grow my creativity way more. That has helped me be more inspired to do things. And I kind of was at a moment of rest, or when I was being in a moment of peace or quiet, or not necessarily just doing just because I'm supposed to be doing. And so I think some of this may be sit down and just calm down and think and be present and let whatever flow through you, as opposed to like, I need to be doing something, because that's when inspiration comes. This is why we have the best inspiration when we're in the shower or in the bed, because we're actually like sitting somewhere we can't do anything else, and then all of a sudden all of these ideas start coming. So use this time, instead of like feeling like you need to push yourself to these limits, to really take a moment to really figure out what you want to do and what works and aligns with who you are.
Right. Yeah. I'm over here smiling.
I was like, you smiling so hard.
Yeah, I'm smiling so hard because, you know, I'm if our listeners don't already know, I'm so big on energy and, you know, all of that stuff also. And, you know, energetically, that's when we're doing the hustle, the going, the pushing, the go, 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 that's the masculine energy, which has nothing to do with gender, and everybody has masculine and feminine energy.
Right.
But that's what it is. It's when we are able to have that creativity is when we're in the feminine energy, which is what you're talking about when we take the pause. Because just energetically speaking, if you're constantly output, 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 there is no space for the input. There's just not. It's just you're just not. So that's why I was smiling, because I'm like, look at you talking about masculine and feminine energy without even knowing about it.
I'm sure I got it from watching you. I love it from you.
I love it.
But yeah,
but yeah.
I think that just making sure that you're not trying to like make these. I mean, if something life changing happens, go with it if it feels right. But don't try to force life changing decisions or life changing moments. This is probably not even going to say probably. This is not the best time to make huge decisions in any areas of your life, whether that's business. It's not probably a time to quit your job or try to start a full-time side hustle or business. It's probably not the best time to end or begin a huge relationship. It's just, it may not be the time to truly make these big decisions, just because we are in a time of stress, and we are in a time of like anxiety. And so you have to be very clear on where's the decision coming from. Right. Is it coming from a place of like, this feels like right for me, and I feel very centered and very calm and very much like in the moment of like, oh, okay, this is the direction I'm supposed to go in? Or is it coming from the pressure of feeling like you should be doing something at this point? So
right, yeah, just not being grounded right now. Like it's difficult to feel grounded and centered again with so much unknown. And I think it can come and go throughout the day. There's some days where I am feeling more centered and grounded than others, and some days where the anxiety or the fear feels a little bit higher than others. And so it's like you said, right now, making any life-altering decisions, it's very difficult because we're not necessarily fully grounded yet. And so take a pause and really think about like what is prompting your desire to make whatever decision. I mean, if it's a matter of safety and all of that, that's a different story.
Right.
But and this is also a time where it's highlighting maybe a lot of the stuff that, okay, this isn't working for me. Like maybe that's the relationship, maybe that's the job that you find yourself in, and it's really highlighting it. And so that on top of everything that we're trying to cope with or process is making it that much more difficult. So just being mindful, again, like just being mindful, whatever decisions you're making right now, especially the life altering ones, are you grounded enough to make them? And already so much uncertainty, whatever change is going to come with that particular decision, do you have the support? Do you have the resources in order to really navigate that and stay grounded and preserve your mental health right now?
Right. So is there anything else that we missed?
No, I think that was it. Again, yeah, I think the big thing is, let's just get through this. And if that sparks creativity, go with it. If it doesn't, that's okay too. I think we just have to give ourselves, like I said before, just a ton of grace to get through this.
Right. And understanding that we often are in a space of what's next, and this may be the time to stay in like what's happening right now and focusing on you, as opposed to really focusing on like, what can I be doing, what's next, how do I make things better? Because a lot of this stuff we can't control, and so some of it is just you're trying to find a way to control something. So take a minute, take care of yourself, and don't push so much if you don't have to,
and get support. Because I know, like, saying that, like, just be here, be present, like, it sounds really good, and it sounds really good, it sounds really simple, and it is simple, but that doesn't mean that it's easy. And so get the support that you need to be able to stay grounded. Get the support that you need. There's so many resources out there right now. There's so many people wanting to help. I know if you're a healthcare worker, our healthcare workers who are on the front line right now, and they're really, dealing with this day in and day out. There's so many resources right now. people that have set up, free therapy for people who are on the front line. Other apps and websites that are out there also offering low cost to free therapy, reaching out to your support system, staying connected to them. Yes, staying in the moment, it's simple, but it's not easy. And so you don't have to go through it alone. I think that's the biggest thing that we keep reiterating is like, we need human connection more than ever.
Definitely. So stay connected with us across social media at Melanin and Mental Health. Make sure you're checking out Melanin and Mental Health on Instagram, because we did a live last week. I'm sure we'll do some in the future while we're on the stay-at-home order. I want to stop. I keep saying quarantine. I want to make sure I don't say that, because people are like, you're not quarantined. You're right. I'm not. I can leave. But make sure you follow us across social media. Head over to melaninmentalhealth.com. If you're looking for a therapist, we have a directory that is continuing to grow. I think people are definitely trying to make sure that they're able to be out there as a resource. So check that out. Also, if you want to see previous podcasts, or if you want any of our dope merchandise, you can find it over there. And I think that's it. Is there anything else?
Nope. Everybody take care of yourselves. Take care of yourselves and one another. And we will chat with you soon.
Yep.
Bye.